Detroit, Michigan, 200 feet below the surface in a decommissioned Cold War bunker. The air tasted like rust and ozone. Sergeant Elias Vance adjusted the seal on his respirator. His hands were shaking, not from the cold, but from the ghost that lived in his chest, clinical anxiety. While the world saw a stoic engineer, Vance was fighting a silent war. Every racing heartbeat was a reminder of a panic attack clawing at his throat. He focused on the rhythm of his wrench, using the physical sensation to anchor his mind. Above ground, the sky didn't burn. The Valari Armada dropped out of slip space, cold and obsidian. They didn't fire a single shot. Instead, they activated the dirge. The streets of Detroit, birds dropped like stones. People collapsed in the subways, their nervous systems shattered by a terror they couldn't process. Total, horrific silence reigned. Appalachia, West Virginia, a fortress of scrap metal and grease hidden in the mountains. Mac, formerly Tariq, stood over the open hood of a 1967 Chevy Impala. His face was a map of the burn scars, his single good eye squinting through the sparks. Beside him stood Hoss, formerly Bilal, a man built like a grizzly bear with hands the size of dinner plates. Mac, the Valari build with logic, Hoss. They calculate every bolt, but they don't understand the redneck hack. They don't know what happens when you take a dying machine and tell it to run on spite. Mac wasn't just fixing a car. He was grafting a stolen Valari anti-grav core onto a combustion engine. It was a mechanical abomination. Mac, they think they won because we're afraid. They don't realize that for a human, fear is just high-octane fuel. Captain Miller stood on a ridge, looking down at a Valari scouting party. His Ione was pinned. The dirge was humming in the air, a low vibration that made his teeth ache. Miller pulled a specialized cylinder from his tactical vest. The spark. Miller, calculated risks are for the dead. He slammed the injector into his thigh. His pupils dilated until his eyes were pure black. His heart rate tripled. To the Valari, Miller should have been a catatonic mess of fear. Instead, he became a blur of kinetic violence. He vaulted off the cliff, a 200-foot drop, and swung a tungsten carbide axe into the alien hull. Miller, you forgot to carry the one, you bastards. High above the Nevada desert, the Frankenstein fleet emerged from the clouds. These weren't warships. They were Ford F-150S, a 10 Warhogs, and repurposed Boeing 747s, all bolted together with alien scrap and raw defiance. Major Crash Evans sat in the cockpit of a reinforced hauler. His veins were glowing a faint, toxic amber. The tachycardia strain was pushing his body to the breaking point. Crash, Tower, this is Vanguard lead. We're flying cold, we're flying hot, and we're definitely flying illegal. Engaging the gravity wheel now. Axiom Station didn't hang over a moon. It sat in the shadow of Mars, a crystalline citadel siphoning energy from the red planet. On the bridge of the captured dreadnought Harbinger, General Vance stared at the tactical holomap. Beside him stood Commander Thorne. Thorne was a man built like a cinder block, his face a patchwork of blast burns. He chewed on an unlit cigar. Vance, they're running a Class 1 defensive grid. They expect us to warp in and trade laser fire like civilized folk. Thorne, scavenger fleet is dark. We've been riding the gravity well of Mars for 6 hours. The pilots are breathing recycled frost, but the tachycardia strain is keeping their blood warm. We're ready to introduce these bastards to terminal velocity. They were a cosmic shotgun blast of dead iron. No engines, no heat signatures, just 90 kilometers per second of raw momentum. When they hit the Valari lines, it wasn't a battle. It was an industrial accident on a planetary scale. Thorne's breaching pod, a reinforced steel shipping container from the port of Savannah, slammed into the Valari command ship. The doors blew open with thermite charges. The human shock troops poured out. They weren't using high-tech rifles. They held industrial logging chainsaws and pneumatic rivet guns. Marine Miller, formerly the oil rigger, took a direct plasma hit to the chest. To the Valari, he was dead, but the black tachycardia strain turned him into a biological ghost. He didn't fall. He roared, blood freezing on his lips, and ripped the pull cord of a diamond-tipped chainsaw. He shredded through 9-foot-tall enforcers like they were made of paper. The Valari algorithms glitched. Analysis. Target is dead. Why is it still accelerating? The high was a violent god. The crash was an eternity in hell. The medical bay of the Harbinger was now a purgatory of broken American soldiers. The air smelled of copper and sweat. Thorne walked through the aisles, his boots heavy. He found Sergeant Elena Vasquez. Her arms were wrapped in compression bandages, her skin mottled purple and black. Vasquez, I broke my own arm swinging that torch, Commander. I didn't even feel the bones snap. I just wanted more. I wanted to go back into the fire so I wouldn't have to feel my own body breaking. Thorne rested a hand on her trembling knuckles. Thorne, fear isn't a weakness, Elena. It's the engine turning over. We feel the pain so the people back in DC and Detroit don't have to. General Vance overcomes. All hands, massive Valari fleet movement. They aren't coming for us. They've jumped straight to Earth. Destination, New York City. They didn't come with fire. They came with a shadow. Above the skyline of Manhattan, the sun was extinguished by 10,000 obsidian ships. The sky turned a sickly, necrotic purple. The command spire, a 3-mile monolith, crashed through the bedrock of Central Park, vaporizing skyscrapers in a gravity shock wave. From here, the Valari would broadcast the final pacification grid to erase humanity. High in the atmosphere, the Harbinger appeared. It was a scarred, burning corpse of a ship. Inside the freezing bridge, Thorne leaned over the tactical map. General Vance from a bunker in DC. Thorne, the spire is charging. If that frequency hits, every brain on this planet flatlines in 3 seconds. Thorne, we don't need a fair fight, General. We just need a heavy rock and a lot of gravity. I have the madness. Thorne out. Thorne, Mark. They plunged the needles into their necks. The Valari overseer ordered the dirge to 200%. A psychic shockwave hit the ship, designed to make hearts stop from pure horror. But for the humans on the black strain, the fear was just propellant. Vasquez, bleeding from her eyes and ears, moved her hands like a blur over the weapons console. The alien computers began to smoke, unable to track her keystrokes. Thorne didn't use the helm. He literally ripped the manual linkages with his bare hands to steer the 50,000-ton ship. Valari officer, targeting algorithms are failing. The vessel is exhibiting non-Euclidean maneuvers. They aren't biological anymore. The Harbinger snapped horizontally, dodging plasma grids that were mathematically impossible to avoid. Thorne let out a roar, the collective scream of a species that refuses to die. Thorne, For the madness, the psychic weight was gone. In Detroit, Mac and Haas crawled out of their workshop, gasping for air. They looked up at the Appalachian sky as the purple haze dissolved into a clean, blue American afternoon. Mac, the mad bastards actually did it. General Vance in the DC bunker. The Volari fleet was in a chaotic retreat. Vance stepped to the mic, broadcasting on all frequencies, straight to the alien home world. Vance, you looked at our fragile bodies and calculated we were victims. You forgot to calculate the cost of pushing a dying animal into a corner. Earth is no longer a prey world. We are coming for the stars, and you should be afraid Manhattan Ground Zero, a 3-mile wide smoking crater. Vasquez, in medical braces, found Thorne's body at the epicenter. He was a charred, skeletal ruin. The medic's scanner showed a flat red line, zero brain activity. Vasquez put the damn scanner on him again. Suddenly, a thick, pitch-black fluid welled up from Thorne's charred neck. It was glowing. Thump. One seismic beat. Not a human heartbeat, but a rhythmic contraction of the black fluid. Thorne's eyelid shifted. The gods sought immortality by eliminating fear, but they forgot the oldest law of the jungle. You don't conquer the dark by calculating it. You conquer it by burning brighter than the night. The monsters are coming. The ash fell like a polluted snow over the jagged, skeletal remains of lower Manhattan, settling silently upon a gargantuan crater of fused glass and melted concrete that hummed with the dying, radioactive embers of a shattered world in the profound, suffocating silence that had descended in the wake of the initial Volari retreat. The stillness of the ruined metropolis was broken only by the viscous, rhythmic churning of a pool of midnight fluid at the crater's absolute epicenter. From within this primordial soup of hyper-advanced nanotechnology and synthetic alien biology, a shape began to slowly coalesce, drawing the surrounding black liquid upward against the laws of gravity, weaving a terrifying new anatomy over what remained of charred and broken bones. Thorne lay suspended in this necrotic baptism, his mind a shattered, fragmented mosaic of human memories violently and methodically overwritten by an ancient, terrifying clarity that possessed the weight of collapsed stars. He did not wake as a man wakes from sleep. He came online, his consciousness rebooting within a framework of biodigital architecture that felt entirely alien and yet intimately, horrifyingly familiar. The overriding sensation was not one of healing or salvation, but of absolute displacement and replacement, a cold, merciless electricity that surged violently through what was once a fragile human circulatory system, now systematically replaced by microscopic, geometric conduits of dark, living metal that thrummed with a terrifying pulse. He could feel the heartbeat of 1 billion alien minds echoing in the cavernous expanse of his reconstructed skull, the singular, overwhelming consciousness of the Volari hive mind crashing into his isolated, fragile ego like a dark, crushing ocean obliterating a solitary, undefended island, systematically stripping away the last, desperate boundaries of his individuality until he was everywhere and nowhere simultaneously, a vital, pulsing node in a galactic network of predatory intelligence. When he finally commanded his new, heavily armored musculature to move, the excess fluid sloughed off his reconstructed dermis in thick, oily sheets, peeling back to reveal a horrific, sculpted perfection of pale, hardened tissue woven intimately with geometric, glowing veins of pulsing obsidian. He rose to his feet amidst the vast devastation, the cold, toxic wind whipping mercilessly against his reinforced skin, feeling neither the chill of the ruined atmosphere nor the sorrow of the billions dead beneath the rubble. And as he slowly opened his eyes, the human soul that had once resided behind them was entirely gone, completely consumed and eradicated, replaced by twin void spaces that radiated a piercing, luminescent violet light, cutting through the apocalyptic gloom like searchlights of an invading armada, signaling the dawn of an unspeakable new age. He was the anchor now, the living, breathing conduit through which the ultimate nightmare would blossom across the dying globe. And as his violet eyes locked onto the desolate, burning horizon, the scorched earth directly beneath his armored feet began to violently fracture and heave, giving birth to the black pulse. It did not spread like a wildfire, nor did it behave like a conventional biological plague. It propagated as a hyper-accelerated biomechanical terraforming wave, a viral geological algorithm injected directly into the very tectonic plates of the beleaguered world. Heavy, muscular vines of weeping black steel and shifting, bladed carbon erupted from the sterilized soil, lunging outward with terrifying hypersonic velocity, burrowing deep into the ancient bedrock to navigate the subterranean darkness, before violently erupting on continents thousands of miles away. In London, the muddy waters of the Thames instantly boiled and evaporated into toxic steam as gargantuan serpentine roots bursting from the deep riverbed wound their suffocating immense bulk around the rusted skeletal remains of Parliament, crushing ancient stone and modern steel alike under the incalculable pressure of their constricting coils, systematically turning the historic skyline into a jagged, unholy forest of alien geometric spikes that pierced the low-hanging clouds. Tokyo, once a glittering, hyper-modern jewel of neon, glass and humanity, was swallowed whole in mere hours. The black pulse cascaded relentlessly through its vast subterranean transit networks, instantly converting public infrastructure into a creeping, monolithic hive structure of synthetic, highly resilient resin that absorbed the city from the inside out, until the entire metropolis resembled nothing more than a gargantuan, black, festering ulcer pulsating upon the Japanese coast, across the arid, sun-baked plains of Islamabad. The pulse manifested as a localized ocean of shifting, fractal razors, a towering tide of living geometric shapes that rolled mercilessly over the city limits, grinding concrete. The atmosphere above the surface was thick and choked with a microscopic, jagged metallic ash that clung stubbornly to their reinforced environmental suits and smeared across their polarizing visor optics as Miller's elite, hand-picked insertion team navigated the petrified, utterly unrecognizable remains of what used to be a sprawling, vibrant suburban sprawl, now reduced to a twisted, silent graveyard of fused black resin and architectural agony. Their primary target loomed ominously on the burning horizon, silhouetted sharply against an unnaturally bruised, swirling sky of toxic ochre and deep violet, a Valari conversion center, a structure that defied all human architectural logic because it had not been constructed from raw materials, but grown from a single horrific seed, a towering, biomechanical, blasphemous cathedral of interlocking, rib-like spires that pulsed continually with a slow, rhythmic, sickly bioluminescence, expanding and contracting slightly, as if the structure was breathing like a gargantuan, sleeping leviathan bound to the bedrock. The elite soldiers moved with the synchronized, fluid grace of apex predators, their heavily armored boots making absolutely no sound against the glass-like, vitrified ground, fully utilizing advanced optical camouflage shrouds that actively warped the ambient light around their bodies, rendering them nearly invisible, transparent phantoms as they seamlessly slip through a gargantuan, muscular intake valve that rhythmically expelled massive plumes of sulfurous, superheated, blinding gas into the poisoned atmosphere. The environment inside the colossal structure was immediately oppressive and deeply hostile. A humid, sweltering, labyrinthine environment that aggressively reeked of ozone, synthesized, burning protein, and the heavy, unmistakable, metallic tang of vast quantities of human blood, a deeply primal scent that instantly triggered paralyzing, instinctual terror in the deepest, most ancient recesses of the human brain, forcing the soldiers to actively suppress their biological urge to turn and run back into the ash as they crept with agonizing slowness along a narrow, precariously suspended gantry constructed of organic, fibrous, warm-to-the-touch metal, the sheer, unimaginable scale of the horror occurring below them unfolded in a dizzying, panoramic nightmare of industrial, systematic desecration. This place was not a prison, nor was it a simple extermination camp. It was a vast, continuous assembly line dedicated solely to the process of biological repurposing, an endless, cavernous factory floor, dominated by thousands of rows of translucent, deeply veined amniotic sacs suspended from a sprawling, muscular ceiling, each individual pod glowing from within with a sickly, bruised purple light that cast long, dancing shadows. Inside these gelatinous, fluid-filled pods floated the captured remnants of humanity, men, women, and children alike, suspended helplessly in midair in a state of chemically induced paralysis, their frail bodies actively undergoing a grotesque, agonizing, and highly visible cellular metamorphosis. Thick, invasive tendrils of black, writhing technology were forcefully and deeply threaded through their entire spinal columns, plunged into their eye sockets, and woven through their chest cavities. Highly advanced nanomachines slowly and methodically dissolving their human anatomy and replacing their organs entirely with the exact same synthetic obsidian armor plating that had previously claimed Thorn in the crater. The victims were, horrifically, completely alive throughout the process. Their faces were contorted and locked in silent, unending screams behind the fluid, as their unique individual consciousness were violently, brutally excised, piece by piece. The desperate brains flooded completely with the overwhelming, deafening, static white noise of the alien hive mind, their humanity, their memories, their loves, and their fears systematically scrubbed away and deleted, to leave behind only a perfectly obedient, lobotomized drone, a customized biological battery ingeniously repurposed to serve the limitless, insatiable hunger of the expanding Valari Empire. From his vantage point on the darkened gantry, Miller watched in a state of paralyzed, ice-cold horror as automated, multi-jointed surgical appendages, metallic arms moving with a terrifying, blur-like surgical precision, descended rapidly upon a fresh, incoming batch of captive humans who had been violently stripped, completely bare, and restrained mercilessly on slanted slabs of cold, living, breathing stone The machines, severing limbs, and useless, inefficient internal organs with blinding, bloodless speed before immediately grafting on heavy, metallic, weaponized appendages that welded themselves seamlessly to the torn, cauterized flesh in showers of white sparks. There were no armed guards to patrol this sprawling nightmare, no wardens to oversee the atrocity, only the relentless, humming, automated perfection of a deeply alienated, godlike industrial engine that viewed the entirety of humanity not as a species with rights, not even as an enemy to be hated or feared, but simply as raw, unrefined biological material, a natural resource to be harvested, efficiently processed, and seamlessly integrated into the vast, eternally expanding architecture of their silent, cosmic crusade. Squatting beside his captain, Vance recorded every brutal second of the nightmare, his hands trembling violently and uncontrollably beneath his armored gauntlets, his camera capturing the agonizing, methodical dissolution of the human species in high definition, knowing in the depths of his breaking heart that the terabytes of data they were risking their lives to gather were utterly, laughably useless against a cosmic force that commanded such incomprehensible, terrifying mastery over both flesh and steel, understanding in a crushing, terrifying moment of absolute clarity that they were not witnessing a military occupation nor an invasion, but a strictly formulated ascension protocol, a horrific, mandatory evolution forced brutally upon a dying, helpless world. The sheer volume of the intense psychic agony saturating the massive chamber began to aggressively breach their military-grade neural dampeners, a collective, silent, deafening wail of millions of human souls being consciously snuffed out simultaneously, a soundless, overwhelming pressure that physically hammered against the inside of their skulls, a force that threatened at any second to utterly crush Miller's remaining sanity and reduce his squad of highly trained, hardened elite soldiers to weeping, catatonic children huddled helplessly on the grated floor of the alien factory. The desperate reconnaissance mission was definitively and entirely compromised the very moment they fully, truly comprehended the absolute scope of the atrocity below them. Their deeply ingrained tactical discipline completely evaporating in the face of an existential, soul-crushing dread so profound, so absolute, it nearly stopped their hearts from beating within their chests. Miller, his face pale and slick with terror sweat, signaled a frantic, immediate, and disorganized retreat, his voice a strained, harsh, unrecognized whisper over the encrypted comms channel as his team scrambled desperately backwards toward the massive intake valve, desperate beyond all reason to escape the sweltering, screaming, living womb of the conversion center, before the highly sensitive, organic sensors woven into the walls of the hive definitively detected the anomalous, panicked rhythm of their racing human heartbeats. They burst out into the decaying, aggressively ash-choked air of the dying wasteland, their chests heaving violently, their lungs burning from the exertion, and the toxic air, running completely blind and panicked through the petrified, nightmarish forest of twisted black vines, abandoning all stealth doctrine. But as they sprinted frantically toward the relative, fleeting safety of their designated extraction coordinates, the very atmosphere around them suddenly and violently seized, seizing all movement, growing incredibly dense and suffocatingly heavy, as if the gravitational pull of the entire Earth had inexplicably, drastically intensified pinning them down with an invisible, crushing weight. The bruised, perpetual swirling twilight of the toxic sky violently and dramatically parted directly overhead, rolling back rapidly like a colossal cosmic theater curtain being drawn away to reveal a sprawling, terrifying firmament entirely and completely saturated in blinding, luminescent, piercing violet light, washing the entirely ruined, blackened continent in the terrifying Judgment Day glow of an angry, dying star. In that sudden, staggering, world-ending brilliance, the electrified air did not carry a conventional sound, but rather the devastating frequency of an arrogant god. It bypassed their auditory receptors entirely, ignored their physical ears, and manifested directly and violently within the deepest, most vulnerable core of their fragile minds, an absolute, undeniable, reality-altering silence had never been so complete, nor so suffocating, as it was in the echoing depths of Command Outpost Echo, a forgotten subterranean cavity hollowed out the granite spine of the Rocky Mountains. It was here, in the dying, electric twilight of failing generators and flickering tactical displays, that the remnants of human defiance gathered, breathing in the stale, recirculated air of a buried tomb. Captain Miller stood before the primary holographic table, his rugged features carved into a mask of absolute, unyielding exhaustion. Beside him, Elias Vance slouched against a concrete pylon, his eyes hollowed out, staring blankly at the slow, inevitable creep of total darkness across the digitized globe. The maps, once a vibrant tapestry of blue oceans and green continents, were now wholly subsumed by an oppressive, crawling blackness. The world they had fought for, the world they were born into, was gone, replaced by a mechanized, biological nightmare of Valari design. The memory of the conversion center, the screaming, the tearing of flesh, the grotesque repurposing of human bodies into biotech batteries and mindless, twitching drones clung to Miller like a second skin, a sickening phantom weight that refused to be shed. He could still smell the copper tanks of blood mixed with the ozone stench of alien engineering. They had run, they had survived, but survival in a world that was no longer a planet but an organ inside the cosmic leviathan felt like a prolonged execution. Elias dragged a trembling hand down his grimy face, his voice barely a rasp as he broke the silence. He spoke of the suicide pulse. It was a theoretical weapon, a relic from the darker days of human paranoia, designed to trigger a cascading electromagnetic overload so profound it would tear the very tectonic plates apart, neutralizing anything relying on electrical or neural pathways within a 1,000-mile radius. It was not a weapon of victory. It was a weapon of total denial, a salted earth protocol. If the earth was now the beating heart of the Valari mothership, then the suicide pulse was the fatal cardiac arrest they needed to induce. It was an apocalyptic gamble, a choice between dying as a slave in a vat of black fluid or dying on their own terms, taking the alien infrastructure down into the abyss with them. Miller did not hesitate. He looked at the few dozen hardened, broken men and women left in the bunker. He saw no fear, only the hollow, terrible relief of those who finally understood that they had absolutely nothing left to lose. The order was given not with a shout, but with a quiet, solemn nod. The march to the surface was a funeral procession of ghosts wrapped in Kevlar and cold steel. When the heavy blast doors ground open, groaning against the accumulated weight of the dying world, The air that flooded the tunnel was no longer the crisp, freezing bite of mountain wind. It was thick, heavy, and cloying, smelling of wet ash and metallic sweetness, the breath of the Valari contagion. Immersion into the desolate wasteland, the resistance forces looked up at a sky that had been brutally murdered. There were no clouds, no sun, no blue heaven. The atmosphere was a bruised, suffocating canopy of swirling violet and necrotic black, bruised by the constant, thrumming energy signatures of the alien terraforming spires. The spires themselves were impossible geometries of living, breathing obsidian, stabbing into the heavens like the jagged teeth of a buried god. From the cracked, ruined earth, a desperate armada roared to life. Relics of a dead age, battered F-15 fighter jets stripped of their avionics to avoid Valari hacking, lumbering M1 Abrams tanks painted with the dust of 100 destroyed cities and retrofitted civilian transports, coughed out plumes of thick black diesel smoke. They looked pathetic, a final, beautiful absurdity of human defiance against an empire that spanned galaxies. Miller watched them roll out from the ridge, a suicidal vanguard meant to draw the attention of the Valari defense network, while his strike team slipped through the cracks. The battle began not with a roar, but with a blinding, terrifying efficiency. The Valari spires did not fire projectiles. They discharged silent, shivering beams of pure unmaking. Where the violet light touched, tanks did not explode. They simply dissolved, their alloy hulls and the flesh of the women and men inside turned into a fine, black ash that blew away on the corrupted wind. The jets fell from the sky like swatted insects, their engines choked by the sudden absence of oxygen as the Valari weaponry altered the atmospheric composition localized around the aircraft. But they did not stop moving forward. Every screaming engine, every futile shell feared against the impenetrable alien shields, every life extinguished in a silent flash of violet geometry, bought Miller and his squad precious seconds. They moved through the shadows of the canyon, descending into the weeping. Miller felt his vision tunneling. Violet light bled into his peripheral sight as the fluid sought his brain, threatening to erase his identity before he could finish the job. He thought of the blue sky. He thought of the smell of rain on hot asphalt. He thought of the messy, chaotic, beautiful noise of a crowded human city, the very things Thorne claimed were a disease. We keep our pain, Miller whispered through blood-stained teeth. It's ours. With the absolute last fraction of his fading, individual will, Miller channeled every agonizing memory, every ounce of grief for his fallen world, and compressed it into a single physical motion. He depressed the detonator. The silence that followed was not the quiet of the Valari hive mind. It was the silence of absolute, fundamental unmaking. The suicide pulse did not detonate with fire or concussion. It tore the fabric of electromagnetism itself. For a fraction of a millisecond, the violet fire of the world core froze. The black cables holding Miller turned rigid, then shattered into a trillion microscopic shards of dead, inert glass. The sound of the heartbeat stopped. Then came the light. It wasn't the violent, searing heat of a nuclear blast, but a creeping, absolute whiteout that consumed the cavern. The white light swallowed Thorne's serene, godlike face. It swallowed the gargantuan, thumping engine of the terraformed earth. It swallowed the cavern walls, the subway tunnels, the dying resistance fires above, and the obsidian spears piercing the atmosphere. Miller felt his own body being pulled apart on a subatomic level, his consciousness stretching out into an infinitely thin wire before snapping. The white light ate the pain. It ate the terror. It ate the memory of the black fluid. It expanded beyond the city, beyond the atmosphere. A silent, expanding halo of absolute erasure moving across the surface of the conquered globe, turning the violet world into a blank, featureless void. In the final, immeasurable fraction of a second before his mind ceased to exist, Miller wondered if he had successfully killed the Valari mothership, or if he had merely finished the job they started, wiping the last traces of Earth from the cold, indifferent canvas of the universe. And then there was nothing. The light did not simply blind, it unmade. When the suicide pulse finally broke the containment seal within the world core, it was not an explosion of fire or a wave of kinetic destruction, but a sudden, absolute erasure of shadows. For an eternity that might have only lasted a few seconds, the universe consisted solely of an overwhelming, sterile white. It was a silence so profound and absolute that it vibrated against the very marrow of the bone, a harmonic resonance of endings. The oppressive, sickeningly sweet hum of the Valari mothership, a sound that had haunted the waking hours and nightmares of every surviving human for 3 agonizing years, simply vanished. It was severed. The violet bruise of a sky that had suffocated the atmosphere, bleeding its alien radiation into the clouds, dissolved like watercolor, washed away by a torrential downpour of pure, unfiltered radiance. Then, the light began to recede, pulling back like the tide of a cosmic ocean. What was left in its wake was the silence, so deep it felt heavy, a physical weight pressing down upon the earth. The sky, stripped of its unnatural, pulsating violet hue, hung above the world in a pristine, fragile gray, the color of dawn before the sun decides if it will bother to rise. All across the ruined continents, the black, chitinous vines of the Valari terraforming engines, those massive, suffocating tendrils that had burrowed deep into the bedrock of the planet to siphon its geothermal blood, stopped their writhing. Their glossy, insectoid surfaces dulled. A ripple of necrosis traveled upward through the alien flora, and in a matter of moments, the indestructible xenobiology began to calcify. They turned into a brittle, ashen gray dust. The wind, stirring for the first time in an age without the mechanical dictation of atmospheric scrubbers, caught the edges of the colossal structures. Entire towers of Valari hives, once reaching like jagged claws into the stratosphere, simply crumbled. They sheared away into microscopic particulate, raining down upon the earth in a quite solemn snowfall of dead empires. The planet was exhaling. Captain Miller felt the cold before he felt the pain. It was a sharp, biting chill that seeped through the frayed thermal meshing of his combat suit, carrying the distinct, metallic scent of ozone and the damp, earthy smell of pulverized stone. He opened his eyes, but it took several long, agonizing moments for his retinas to adjust, the ghost of the whiteout still burning on his optical nerves in negative afterimages. He was lying on his back, staring straight up into the pale, bruised sky. He drew a breath, the air scraping down his throat like crushed glass tasting of ash and rain. He rolled over, his muscles screaming in protest, every fiber of his body feeling as though it had been subjected to the intense gravitational pull of a dying star. He pushed himself up onto his hands and knees, the debris shifting loosely beneath him. He was in New York, or what was left of it. The landscape was unrecognizable, yet intimately familiar. The towering skyscrapers of glass and steel that had once defined the skyline were long gone, replaced by the imposing cathedral-like spires of Valari architecture. But the spires were different now. During the occupation, the Valari structures had pulsed with a sickening bioluminescent warmth, seemingly alive, breathing, constantly watching. Now they were dead. They were nothing more than hollow tubes of cold, lifeless stone, drained of the terrible energy that had sustained them. The biomechanical veins that had woven through the walls like capillaries were blackened and brittle. It was a ghost city, a graveyard of titans frozen in the moment of their sudden death. Miller stood up, his boots echoing sharply against the broken pavement. The sound was stark, isolated, and incredibly lonely. He was the only thing moving in a world that had been stopped dead in its tracks. He walked aimlessly at first, his mind still trying to process the magnitude of the silence. He ran his gloved hand along the side of a massive, fallen dreadnought. The hull armor, once capable of deflecting tactical nuclear strikes, now flaking away like rusted iron. The invaders had not just been killed, they had been nullified. As he wandered deeper into the labyrinth of a dead city, a soft, rhythmic chiming caught his attention. It was a delicate sound, completely at odds with the brutalist reality of the ruins around him. He followed it, his combat instincts dulling, replaced by a strange, hypnotic curiosity. The sound led him to a small, subterranean alcove, a former subway entrance that had been converted into a Valari nerve center. At the heart of the chamber, sitting atop a pedestal of smooth obsidian, was a memory crystal. It was the only thing in the room emitting light, a soft, pulsing aquamarine glow. Miller recognized it. It was Thorns, the rogue Valari architect, the anomaly who had guided them, who had given Miller the access codes to the world core. Miller approached the crystal cautiously, the chiming growing louder, resonating not in his ears, but somewhere deeper inside his mind. He reached out and wrapped his fingers around the faceted surface. Instantly, the ruins around him vanished. He was suspended in an infinite expanse of swirling, luminescent data, floating weightless in a sea of pure information. And then, Thorne's voice, not spoken, but felt, echoed in the vastness. The pulse was not an end, Captain. It was a catalyst. Miller's mind spun as torrents of imagery flooded his consciousness. He saw the Valari motherships above the planet disintegrating, their biomechanical crews dissolving into subatomic vapor. But the energy from the suicide pulse hadn't dissipated. It had recoiled. It had surged back down through the crust, flooding the Earth's mantle, seeking the paths of least resistance. To kill an infection of our magnitude, Thorne's lingering echo continued. You could not simply sever the head. You had to change the host. The energy of the core, amplified by the pulse, did not just sanitize the Earth. It rewrote the fundamental architecture of its life. Miller watched, horrified and awestruck, as the simulation showed the remaining human enclaves. The deep bunkers where the last remnants of the species had huddled in terror. As the white light swept over them, they did not burn. They fractured and reformed. Their biological matter interwove with the planet's electromagnetic field. They were being rewritten at a cellular level. You are no longer strictly biological, Miller. The fragile flesh that bled, that sickened, that broke, it is gone. Yet you are not drones of a collective mind. We Valari failed because we sacrificed individuality for perfect synchronization. The Earth has chosen a different path. You are something entirely new. You are the planet, and the planet is you. Your consciousness is permanently tethered to the magnetic heartbeat of the sphere, a symbiotic totality. The vision faded, leaving Miller breathless in the cold alcove, his hand still resting on the dimming crystal. The implications crashed over him like a physical wave. They hadn't just survived, they had transcended. But the cost, the humanity they had fought so desperately to preserve was gone, replaced by an evolution forced upon them by the desperation of their own final countermeasure. He left the chamber, stepping back out into the gray daylight. As he reached the surface, he saw them. Movement, shadowy figures emerging from the deep transit tunnels on the fractured subway grates. The survivors were stepping out into the sunlight. Miller watched them from a distance, his heart pounding a strange, unfamiliar, steady rhythm in his chest. They looked human in silhouette, but as they drew closer, the changes were undeniable. Their skin had a smooth, almost porcelain quality, completely free of the grime, scars, and exhaustion that had marked the last years of the war. They moved with a fluid, terrifying grace, stepping over the debris without making a single sound. And their eyes glowed with a soft, natural white light. There were no pupils, no irises, just twin pools of calm, steady luminescence, identical to the light of the suicide pulse. They did not speak. They didn't need to. Miller could feel their presence, a complex, interconnected web of thoughts and emotions brushing gently against the periphery of his own mind. He knew they were confused, but beneath the confusion was an overwhelming, foundational sense of peace. The panic, the hunger, the visceral terror of the invasion, it had been completely scrubbed from their neural architecture. Without a word from Miller, without a command or a rally, they began to work. They did not search for weapons or scavenge for food. They moved towards the crumbling Valari pillars. As their hands touched the dead, gray stone, a localized ripple of energy emanated from their fingertips. The stone didn't break, it softened, reforming and reshaping itself under their collective will. They were building, not with concrete, steel, and diesel engines, but with a new, living technology that drew its scenery directly from the earth itself. It was harmonious, it was peaceful. The architecture they were coaxing from the ruins was organic, sweeping lines of pale stone that mimicked the curves of the natural world. Miller backed away, knowing that he too shared this connection, this new network of existence. But the ghost of the soldier remained strong within him, a lingering phantom of the chaotic, biological man he had been just hours before. He walked away from the city, leaving the quiet builders behind. He walked for days, though he never felt the need to sleep, nor did he feel the gnawing pangs of starvation. His body simply drew what it needed from the ambient energy of the world he was now inextricably bound to. Eventually, the ruins gave way to the open country. The black vines covering the fields had entirely disintegrated into nutrient-rich soil. From the gray ash, the impossible was happening. Green shoots, vibrant and defiant, were breaking through the crust of the earth. Nature, accelerated by the new planetary resonance, was returning with a ferocious, beautiful speed. Miller reached the crest of a high, rolling hill. He stood at the summit, feeling the wind crest the ridge, carrying the scent of rain and newborn pine. He looked up. The sky above was no longer gray. The heavy clouds had fractured and dispelled, revealing a flawless, brilliant tapestry of azure blue. The oppressive silhouettes of the Valari motherships, which had blacked out the sun for 3 years, were completely gone, leaving only the endless open canvas of the stratosphere. The sun beat down, warm and golden, kissing an earth that had forgotten the feeling of dawn. He looked down at his own hands. They were steady. The heavy calluses of war had smoothed out. He closed his eyes, an action that felt more like a memory than a necessity, and he let the gentle hum of millions of connected minds wash over him. It was peace, but peace earned through the absolute sacrifice of standard human existence. They had won their freedom not by defeating the enemy, but by out-evolving the concept of war itself. They had become the guardians of a silent, perfect world, a collective consciousness dreaming together under an empty sky. The whole humanity, loud, flawed, brilliant, and destructive, had paid the ultimate price to ensure that the earth would never be conquered. Miller opened his eyes, the soft white glow of his gaze cutting through the afternoon light. The terrible, suffocating morning song of the occupation, the long, slow death rattle of his species had finally faded into the silence of history. The dirge was over. A new, wordless symphony was rising from the green earth to meet the sun.